Come on in. Welcome to Idled Out, where we talk all things Survivor. My name is Luke, and today we're talking about 5 great Survivor mothers in honor of Mother's Day.
Mom.
This idea was left in the comments by a viewer last week, and I thought it was a great idea. There have been dozens of iconic Survivor mothers, literally so many that generations of them have played side by side and even voted each other out. Wow, she gave you life, and this is how you repay her. These aren't the definitive top 5 Survivor moms or anything. That would be a weird thing to rank. And just by sheer numbers, it has to be Amber, right? Rather, I want to just talk about the journeys of 5 Survivor moms, women who talked about and embraced motherhood on the island, representing a wide range of different eras, archetypes, and gameplay styles, who I personally liked watching. That's it. All that said, let's celebrate moms a little better than Sierra did by highlighting 5 great Survivor moms in honor of Mother's Day. The rankings are particularly arbitrary today, but at number 5 is Tina Wesson, who literally played Survivor with her daughter. For the purposes of this video, I think Tina's Blood vs. Water game is the most interesting to look at, but let's take things back to Survivor Australia for a second. Tina's always been kind of a tribe mom. She embraced that role on Ogakor, but I reckon that was a more tactical decision than anything else. She's the sweet southern lady. She knew her hand, and she played it well. I think most everyone on Ogakor implicitly looked to her as someone they could confide in and trust, even though that didn't work out super well for most of them. I'm just speculating, but I think back in 2000, Tina probably felt torn between projecting the perfect motherly image to America, something moms are already pressured to do in life, but now on a national scale, and being the cutthroat Survivor strategist she was born to be. Basically, everyone in the game puts their life in her hands at some point, and then she'd turn around and do that thing only Southern moms are able to do, where they insult you, but it's like really nice, but also the meanest thing you've ever heard. Like, here's her response to Jerry after Jerry tries very hard to sing Criminal by Fiona Apple.
Fiona Apple's hard to say.
Yeah.
Fast forward to season 27, and Tina's on Survivor for a 3rd time, this time playing alongside her daughter Katie. This season was returning players versus their loved ones, a real test of family ties, and all the classic familial relationships are represented. Brother against brother, husband against wife, uncle against niece, sure. Tina was part of the majority Galang Alliance, a tribe of returnees plus Rupert's wife Laura. It's complicated. And the tribe almost immediately splintered along the lines of good players versus not as good players. Tina was in the former camp, obviously, and coasts through part 1 of the game. At the swap, Katie joins Tina on Galang, and here's where we see Tina go into full mom mode. This was kind of a bizarro swap because like all 6 of these people were in completely different alliances before this, and none of them were very close. Except for Tina and Katie, who have their own built-in alliance. It's called Motherly Love. When they lose immunity, Vetus is an obvious choice for first boot as the only man on the tribe, but he has a secret weapon. Tina wants grandkids, and she wants them exactly 9 months from right now. Tina sees her single daughter and a nice young man just kind of sitting near each other or vaguely talking at one another, and she can barely resist the urge to grab both their heads, smash them together, and say kiss.
I would be honored if he took an interest in Katie, just because he seems like such a straight-up guy. However, the guy who gets Katie is going to have to hit her over the head with a club and drag her into his cave, because Katie is not a very flirtatious girl.
Wow, a true romantic, and the kind of thing that every young lady wants to hear their mother say on TV. Unfortunately, Tina and Katie would both get sent to Redemption Island after the merge, and even have to face each other in a duel. I wouldn't be surprised if Tina's motivation to beat Katie on Redemption Island wasn't even to stay in the game longer, but to send her to Ponderosa, where Vetus awaits. At number 4 is Reem Daly in Survivor Edge of Extinction. whose overmothering of her tribe was her downfall. Despite being the first person voted off, she was present the whole season thanks to the Edge of Extinction twist, and got possibly more screen time than the winner. But let's talk about Reem's brief time in the game proper first. Reem started the game on Manu, a horrible trainwreck god-awful pathetic tribe that couldn't win their way out of a paper bag thanks to personal dysfunction amongst everyone and embarrassing challenge performances. Nope, War Dog, you want to hit the target. I don't think Reem came into Survivor wanting to be the tribe mom, but she just couldn't help herself. Their wet clothes were going to get so wrinkly without being properly dried. Some tribes want a tribe mom or parental figure to guide them, but Manu definitely did not. Even if they did, I don't think the hot-headed, machete-wielding Reem would have been the first pick. Nonetheless, Reem takes the tribe outcasts under her wing, helping them be productive at camp and even teaching Keith how to swim. It would be genuinely wholesome mom stuff if it wasn't filtered through the foulest mouth in Survivor history. Reem loves 2 words, dude and fuck. The bleep budget on Reem alone must have been insane.
Reem, your tribe has spoken.
You could definitely argue that Reem's motherly instincts being so obnoxious and unwanted were a defining factor in bonding the rest of the tribe together, loose as that bond was. The tipping point seemingly being when she takes everyone's clothes and dries them on the beach without asking. For the crime of drying their clothes, Reem becomes the first of many members of this tribe who would go home early, and she'd otherwise be a pretty funny first boot, and that's it, if not for the Edge of Extinction. No person this entire season is better suited to be the mayor of the Edge than Reem. The Edge is a challenging and desolate island, a purgatory for eliminated players waiting to get back into the game, a place where food is scarce and cameras are really close up. I don't think there's any circumstance where Reem would be voted out and not be bitter, but on the Edge, she took her frustrations out on every incoming former Manu, especially early on. There are 3 things guaranteed in life: death, taxes, and Manu members getting an earful when they get to the Edge. But Reem also served as the Edge of Extinction mother. She wasn't mad, she was disappointed. She'd chew you out and then help you make peace with your loss. I've gotta give credit to Reem. She hung around the Edge of Extinction for 32 long days, just for an increasingly remote shot to get back into the game. She's a genuine inspiration, and we could all learn a lesson from Reem. Not about sticking things out or anything, but about how to use fuck really creatively. At number 3 is Dawn Mian in Survivor South Pacific and Survivor Karamoan, whose momming of the tribe cost her dearly at Final Tribal Council. Dawn is one of the most interesting and tragic characters in all of Survivor to me. Her Karamoan experience is like a Greek tragedy, but somehow even more depressing. But to understand Karamoan, we must first go back to the South Pacific. Dawn navigated the Savai'i tribe well, avoiding elimination early on when she would have been an easy target for her emotional breakdown in the first episode. The first of many emotional breakdowns in Dawn's Survivor career. Nonetheless, everyone on Savai'i liked her, but she was closest with Cochran, and together they wormed their way into the majority alliance of Jim, Ozzy, Keith, and Whitney, a very beloved and enjoyable to watch group. At a deadlocked merge, Savai'i sends Cochran into Upolu to play double agent, hoping to use him to gather intel that would help them take down the other tribe. But Benedict Cochran took the assignment a little too literally, flopped to Upolu, and sank Savai'i. Dawn and Cochran both returned as favorites in Fans vs. Favorites 2, and again aligned. Whereas they were outsiders on their first season, on Karamoan, from basically the merge on, Dawn and Cochran ran the table on this game. Every vote went through them, and they soared to Final Tribal Council together with relative ease. But at Final Tribal, Cochran was praised and Dawn was torn to shreds. They made basically every single game decision together, but while Cochran got credit for the big move, Dawn took all the heat for it. Here's where we get into the Survivor mom problem. This is something many older women who've played Survivor have talked about a lot. People expect older women, especially mothers, to act motherly on Survivor, and when they have the audacity to play the game in a cutthroat way, they're admonished, especially at Final Tribal Council. When your dorky little brother stabs you in the back, it's all fun and games, but when your mom does it, ouch. Do I think that Dawn lost entirely because of this bias? No, she was prone to anxious and paranoid outbursts, broke down more than an old jalopy, and was probably emotionally exhausting to be around 95% of the time. Being pigeonholed as the mom, then playing such a cold-blooded game, made the jury feel like her betrayals were personal, but Cochran's were all game. She's like the bizarro world Russell Hantz. He couldn't win a jury vote because he was completely detached from the emotional and social elements of the game before cruelly blindsiding people. Dawn was way too tuned in to the emotional and social elements of the game before cruelly blindsiding people. Do I think she should have won over Cochran? Probably not, but she also didn't deserve to get eaten alive by the jury. I mean, even Eddie tears her up like she's some old chew toy. I'm so sorry, Dawn. He's usually such a good boy. At number 2 is Twyla Tanner in Survivor Vanuatu, who swore on her own son in the game. When you think of motherly players, warm, affectionate, caring, you probably don't think of Twyla, but motherhood is critical to her story and her ultimate loss. This was the second season Survivor divided the castaways by gender, and Twyla is at an immediate disadvantage. Twyla, in her own words, gets along way better with men than with women. She's too honest for her own good, has no filter, and has no qualms about telling the young, pretty, prissy women exactly how she feels about them.
You stay here 5 minutes, then your ass will go down in there in the ocean, so don't give me no bitch.
Oh, I'll ask someone else where the bathroom is. Despite this, Twyla manages to get a pretty solid alliance going with Scout, Amy, and Leanne, which carries her through the pre-swap portion of the game. At the swap, Twyla's much more in her element with guys like Chris and Sarge than she ever was with the girly girls like Dolly and Mia. Just from a numbers perspective, this is a tribe that Twyla definitely should have been in trouble at. She and Julie are outnumbered 4-2, but they manage to build inroads with Chris and Sarge well enough that they're willing to send John Kenny back to the mechanical bull operator circuit over either of them. Things get really interesting for Twyla's game at the merge. By this point, she's thrown her hat in with basically every player in the game except for Rory, who she's never met. She's in with the guys and she's in with the girls. When it comes down to men v women, someone's gonna get betrayed. Twyla ultimately sticks with the women, and the men are all voted out in a row, leaving only Chris and 6 women come Final 7, where we finally get to see the softer side of Twyla. We've heard bits and pieces about Twyla's son during the season, but actually getting to see her motherly side is really heartwarming. Even before Jeff boots up the MacBook for Twyla to chat with her son, she breaks down in tears. It's obvious that her son is the most important thing in the world to her. Keep that in mind while I briefly detour to rag on this setup. They're video chatting with their family members, and this comically large satellite implies that all their loved ones are back in the United States. Of course, all their loved ones are like in a shack together just off screen, but the survivors don't know that. So in order to make it look like all these people aren't in the same room, they set up the world's laziest set decoration behind them. A flag, a map. Wait, Annie, you know Twyla's son James? Everyone is moved by Twyla's relationship with her son, and it sheds new light on a woman who, up until this point, was regarded as pretty prickly. The close relationship between Twyla and her son is at the forefront of a conversation between Twyla, Amy, and Leanne later in the episode, where she swears on her son's life that she's still with them, only to, moments later, completely backstab them by aligning with Chris and Eliza instead. The decision to swear on her son, then immediately betray that deal, totally sinks the rest of her game. She is, from this point on, drawing dead in a jury vote. Now, me personally, My mom can swear on my life to get an extra order of fries at McDonald's. I don't care. But it really can't be overstated how much everyone on the island genuinely found this distasteful. Even today, this would be controversial, but in Season 9, this was a game-destroying move. It's fitting that at the end of the season, you have a woman so honest, a single lie nuked her game, and a guy so dishonest, he even lied to his wife after the game about how he did. What can you say? She's like, Honest Abe. She cannot tell a lie.
You said that I didn't deserve to be here. I was a spoiled brat.
But did I not tell you that to your face?
At number 1 is Janet Carbon in Survivor Island of the Idols, a motherly figure who stepped outside of the game to do the right thing. She's not only a mother, she's a grandmother, which is like a super mother. She's one of the oldest women to ever play the game, one of the best players and characters of this season, and a literal angel. Janet started the game on Vokai and had no trouble surviving the pre-merge, despite an obvious vulnerability simply due to her age. And yet, if Vokai pulled a new long, Janet would probably be the last one standing. She was right in the center of the majority alliance with Tommy, Lauren, and Dan. These four ran this tribe early on. Tommy and Janet were particularly close. Tommy called this alliance Tommy and his mommy, which, oh boy, there's gotta be better branding than that. Janet was always Vokai Tribe Mom, but really takes the mantle of Tribe Protector at the merge, following Dan's inappropriate touching. Janet takes this moment to step outside of the game and do the right thing by voting Dan out. Sure, he's in her alliance, but some things are bigger than Survivor. It's important everyone take a stand here for what they believe in, and oh, cool. Janet's principled stand takes her from the top of the tribe to the bottom, although she does eventually worm her way back in with her old alliance. Along the way, Janet accomplishes things most Survivor players can only dream of. She finds not one but two idols, and even gets to meet Sandra and Rob on the titular Island of the Idols, where she hilariously declines the opportunity to play some sort of child's game for an advantage. Unfortunately, this very island would be Janet's downfall. When Dean visits in episode 12, he's given the opportunity to risk his vote on a coin flip. Heads, he gets an idol nullifier. Tails, he loses his vote, which is not great news for Janet, considering her idol is public knowledge at this point, and the majority alliance is now targeting her as the biggest threat. Dean, of course, is great at flipping coins or something, and anyone got an hourglass I can smash? Janet plays her idol at Final 5, but it doesn't matter, as Dean nullifies her idol and sends her to the jury. Any chance of this season not being the absolute worst of all time, getting snuffed along with her torch. Janet had a legitimate path to the end and the win before this Dean Vine intervention. Play her idol at 5 and knock out Lauren, win Final 4 firemaking, which she was very likely to do so, and then easily beat whichever combination of Tommy, Dean, and Nora she was up against. It would have been a satisfying end to a season that was often extremely unpleasant to watch. But, you know, Dean landed on the event space and got a bonus star. Got nothing else for ya. To play matchmaker like Tina and hook me up with some views, like and subscribe and I'll get you more Survivor content just like this. Until next time, don't get idled out.